What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. We're doing the final thoughts today. Hopefully you're all having a great day. And yet again, the camera, I don't know what it does this for, man, honestly. Camera's such a bollocks thing to do. Anyway, with see me, hello, how are you guys doing? Right, so final thoughts today. We're going to be doing, hopefully you're all having a great day. Hopefully you're all having a great weekend, especially you QPR fans. Hopefully you enjoyed that game yesterday on the live watch along. QPR defeated Coventry 2-1 at home. Big revenge win for us after the horrible defeat we had against Coventry last week. Not last week. At the start of the season last year, where we got defeated 7-1. We did the job yesterday. You know, it was not going to be easy. I'll be honest, it was not going to be easy. So yeah. Anyone in the chat? Anyone in the chat before we start? Before I change the window, the scene. Hopefully you're having a great day. Alright, let's change scene to, I think it's this one, isn't it? Yeah, this one. Cool. Right, we'll just crack on with it because we ain't got long. So yeah, like I said, QPR defeat Coventry 2-1 at home. Goals from Kone and Nicholas Madsen. Now, where are we going to begin? Well, we're going to begin with basically how we started. So, we started pretty well. The first kind of 7 minutes, Coventry kind of controlled the game pretty well. They were, not going to lie, they were not a big threat. But they were taking their chances. They were pushing it. But then after that, QPR tends to push a bit more for a little while. So same as always, usually the first 25 minutes of Julian's game plan, you know, we're technically kind of like this attacking team that likes to push on, try and get a goal, score first type of thing. And there was a couple of chances almost close to it where we looked like we was attacking really well at the start. That first half, I would say, attacking threat-wise, it was kind of end-to-end, to be honest. It was very end-to-end. I'm not going to lie. On Coventry City fans, I'm not going to lie. It was very end-to-end. Nick, welcome to the chat. Hopefully you're having a good day. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream yesterday. Hopefully you're having a good weekend as well. Welcome in and welcome in. Oh man, I'm so dehydrated. It's so bad. But yeah, it was very end-to-end in that first half. But mainly, the main attacks all came from Coventry. But the best thing about it was, obviously we had the chance to score goals. You know, you can see it in the expected goals, the XG. You know, our XG was really high. Wasn't like high completely like what Coventry did against us at their ground, but it was higher than Coventry on the day. You know, Coventry came into this out of form. They did. So if we go to the last 5 games that they've played, including us, you know, a loss to Stoke, they beat Leicester, they beat Millwall, a loss to Norwich, and a loss to obviously QPR. You know, all them games they've won has been at home for them, and their away form is not great whatsoever. Poor day today, but too much to hype about. Poor day today. What happened? What happened? Jeez. Yeah. Like I said, Coventry came into this game with poor away form, you know, but you'd expect them to be a bit more better as it was. You know, they obviously had an injury problem in one of their strikers. In my opinion, a big threat, Asante, who was injured, but he started the game on the bench. Ellis Sims was the one that put in the performance up top. Mason Clark, I believe, as well, was on the pitch. So they had Mason Clark, Sims, Rodani, Sakamoto, Eccles, Grimes, De Silva, Kitchen, Thomas, Van Hewitt, and Carl Rushworth. First things I'll point out is this. Carl Rushworth was putting in a good performance. I'm not going to lie. Because there was chances in that first half that he did well. So there was a chance from Kone. I can't remember what the time of it was, but Kone had a chance at goal where it went literally over the keeper, and if it wasn't for his just fingertip saved and hitting the bar, he done really well to keep that ball out of the net. He did. That would have been 1-0 QPR, but it wasn't the first half that we needed. Like I said, the attacking threat was there, but we just couldn't get the goals. I would say Dembele obviously got injured in the early game. He came off, I believe, for Daniel Benny on the 24th minute. He didn't look good. So that's one concern with injuries for us. Another injury, Daniel Benny coming on for Karamoka Dembele. Listen, look, Dembele was playing okay yesterday. He was, before he got injured. And Dembele also, it doesn't look great on our side where he was limping off. So I got a funny feeling it could be a serious injury. But let's hope we get some information on that soon, and hopefully he's not out for too long. You know, injuries are starting to come back. It's the 1st of February, and hopefully the next couple of weeks we get some players back. Do we need to sign some people? Well, transfer deadline day is tomorrow, I believe, and we need to bring some on loanees in. You know, Kieran Morgan might be going out the window, so yeah, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Daniel Benny came on the 24th minute for Dembele, replacing him. And also there was an injury to, I believe, I think it was Mason Clark for Coventry, who came off on the 35th minute for SA, which didn't look great either. It's for Coventry, so yeah. Nick says, didn't watch the first half, only managed to watch the second half because of streaming issues. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. But yeah, that was the that was pretty much it really for the first half. You know, it was a chance of Kone. Coventry had an opportunity with Rodani, but just great defense. You know, we had Ronnie on the right, Jimmy on the left, right, centre back. We had Steve Cook left centre back, and Davis at left back. And they all pulled in a good performance. I would say Ronnie Edwards really kind of impressed me at that right back scenario, where I was really worried, because when you have players like SA, Clark, and all of these guys for a team, you know, you kind of get to the point where, right, Amadou might have been best for this game, like really best, but Ronnie really did well in that right back to hold off these players that we've been struggling with when Kieran Morgan and Jimmy is at the right back. So I don't really want to see Ronnie at right back. You know, I'd rather see him at centre back, but if it's one of them things where he's doing well, I guess you're going to have to. So yeah. Welcome to QPR, Ryan. Hopefully you're okay. Looks like no transfers. Well, we'll speak about it later. We'll speak about it later. Let's get the match reaction out the way. But yeah, Ronnie did a really incredible job holding off the paciest players, in my opinion, in the Championship this season. Very dangerous threat. You know, if you look at their tally of goals, it's incredible with Rodani, Sakamoto, Clark, SA, Sims, Asante. You know, all these players are really killing it in the Championship, and we did really well in the defense. You know, and it really needs to kick in. You know, we can't have leaky what do you call it, leaks in a defense. There's no way to say it really, that can cause us to lose games, you know. And Joe Walsh, you know, even though this, you know, we'll talk about it in a second, but Joe Walsh in the first half wasn't really tested greatly. I don't think either keeper, apart from the Kone scenario in the first half, was it really. You know, the second half was a lot better, which was a very big surprise. So yeah, but first half ended 0-0. We went in, we spoke about what we needed to do, and I believe we did it. You know, we honestly did it, but we didn't show it until, I would say, 65th minute, roughly, just after the Eccles goal. Nick says, got to take my hat off to Kone for that finish. He just seems to be more involved playing where he should be. Like I said, I personally have said it constantly. Kone is a number 9, a poacher. He can't work with 2 up front. You can see it doesn't work. You know, I like Burrell, but Kone needs to work with by himself. He's a poacher. He needs balls into his feet, whether that's from the wing or when you go into the run for a ball into the box, you know. Like I said, I personally think we're playing Kone in a better position now where his confidence can be a lot better. And that's how I see it. You know, Burrell, to me, we could play on the left or the right. That's happy for me. You know, Burrell's a pacey guy. If we play him as an inside forward, if Dembele's injured, and we play Burrell there, I'm happy with that. Because Burrell has been playing with Burton Albion on the right wing. So that doesn't really kill me. Nick says, agree DB with Ronnie. He looked comfortable and seemed to spread to the back like... said about Benny Ball watch, but it happens not going to single him out. AB says, very happy with this result. I hope we keep this formation, and when Burrell returns, have him and Kone compete with the 9. Well, AB, I personally think it's not even, I don't think he's a number 9. I personally think if we play Burrell as like what, an SA or a Clark or a Sakamoto, I reckon we could score goals with him still, and he's pacey as hell, so I reckon that would suit him. But yeah, that's how that was. But if we talk about, let's talk about the second half where it all kicked off. So obviously the first negative thing I would say is what happened was this. You know, Daniel is, you know, when crosses come into the box, and depending on how they come to the box, you always need to have players in the front, the back, and the middle, 100%. And the problem is, when the cross that came in from Jack Rodani, it was a beautiful cross. I'm not going to lie. Very good cross. And it just went over. And you know what? When you see a cross go in, sometimes you could just picture, all right, cool, this is a goal. It's that simple. Beautiful crosses sometimes create the best of chances. And it did in this game, where you had Josh Eccles in the right place at the right time, and no one was watching him. Ronnie was tucked in, Jimmy, Steve were all tucked into the middle, where Daniel Benny was just ball watching. He was not there marking his player. I'd be honest, I think Ronnie, like, we could blame Ronnie as well, in the sense of why is he so tucked into the middle when he should be further watching his other player behind him? If no one's watching him properly, you know, it could either be a Daniel Benny situation or a Ronnie Edwards. You know, Jimmy and Cook, Jimmy should be telling him what to do. You know, but if he, you know, you got, as a captain, as a defender as well, you got to have that ability to feel people around you and talk to them and say, you're in the wrong place, get that fixed now. So yeah. Nick says the only way it seems that Kone and Burrell play together is 3 up front. 100%. That's one thing that I would say. I would say probably Sato as well. So yeah. But yeah, that first goal went in. Great cross, great header. Joe Walsh was never winning that. If he saved that, I'd been very impressed. But he was never winning that. So yeah, that happened. Now, usually when this happens, when the first goal goes in, we fall. Well, it depending on the scenario. We tend to get back. We usually do well. But when Coventry scored, I thought, right, okay, this might be a bit of a bad scenario right now. What should we do? You know, is he gonna fuck up, and is he gonna basically put out another defender in defense just to hold it back, or is he gonna go out all attack? And very surprisingly, we reacted so quickly to going down 1-0. You know, we started controlling the game. We did after that goal went in. We were looking very confident on the ball, passing it about. And then it just come out of nowhere where we was playing it through. And Richard Kone was in the box. And it was a great ball to Madsen on the wing to see him. And it's a great ball. I personally was very surprised with the finish. You know, it's a very good finish by Kone. But the fact that I'm telling everyone that he's a poacher and he can only play up front on his own is the reason why he scored that goal. He was behind the player at the start, and then he knew where he needed to be when that ball was, and that was in front of that player, and that's where he got. And that's what he done. Nice little flick of the ball on his right foot. Back post over the keeper, a lot of power in it as well. Very difficult thing to do, that is, and he's done a smashing job. And instead of celebrate, well, he did celebrate, but instead of celebrating so much, he knew what he needs to do, and that was get ready for the next goal. And he run back straight away. Much respect to him. He deserves the goal. He needs the goal, and the fans are finally getting off his back at the moment with that goal, and obviously with a great assist by Nicholas Madsen. And then obviously Koki Sato came on for Paul Smith. You know, Paul Smith did a great job on that wing. Haji Wright also came on for Ellis Sims, which I was not going to lie, I was a bit nervous. I tell you what, when Haji Wright comes on, you know that American's going to be doing shit on the field. But luckily enough, that sub, whatever sub that happened, it did the job, because Harvey Vale in that number 10 role, I think we all want to see it a lot more, where he's opened space up and Koki Sato's got the ball and Harvey Vale's called for it, flipping brilliant call, and Koki Sato has gifted it to him in front of his feet. And you know, this is the most amazing thing that which I love about when you know it's going to be a goal. It's that, and this is why I miss going to football matches as well. Is I know I'm rambling a bit, but seriously, it's the part where Harvey Vale crossed it in, right? And you see silly mistakes from keepers when they make the save them type of balls, because it's a difficult ball to save. And when you save it and you push it out in front of the goal and there's no one there, you get that silence. And when you see that silence in fans, you only see it on YouTube videos, but you won't see it on live TV. But if you're at the stadium, you'll witness it. For 5 seconds, the whole stadium goes quiet, because they know what's about to happen. And all of a sudden, that ball, and Madsen's seen it, and he's running onto that ball. Soon as he touched that ball, it's either going in, or it's either going to be a hoof over the bar. And the fact that he's finished that really well on open net, and that stadium erupted the way it did, and made it 2-1, was the much amazing thing that you could witness in a stadium. Honestly, you know, Madsen has been brilliant all season. Incredible player. You know, we've seen Madsen that we've wanted to see when we bought him, you know, and he's playing really well. He's really doing a cracking job at QPR. He's a future captain at QPR. It's going to be very hard to keep hold of him. He's a very decent player, and he's proven it in and out each week now. And he's like the key to our midfield. He really is. It's like a machine. We have to build the team around him, Madsen, because Madsen, I really want to see him stay at QPR. He's a very, very important player for us. And we have that ability to say to us, he can be in the right place at the right time. And he was. When he scored that goal, like I said, it's absolutely brilliant. You know, great finish to finish it like the way he did. And made 2-1. But apart from that, you know, Coventry were really shitting it. You know, they made some subs in Yang. We brought Samfield on the 84th minute instead of replacing Isaac Hayden. And it went pretty all Coventry after that. You know, Coventry were trying their best to get a goal back, but we were just doing really well. We weren't making any mistakes. All we were doing was hoofing it up there away from the ground, which we're meant to be doing each week. You know, the Wrexham game was a bit of a annoying scenario, because when we kept having that ball at the back, and the reason why they kept scoring those 2 goals was the fact being we're not clearing it properly. You know, we was flipping clearing it down the wings. You know, we weren't messing about with it, passing it in our own area. We weren't hoofing it in the middle. We were hoofing it in the wings, which was the ability of the best play. And obviously, even at the end of the game, when we could have tried to go another goal, to be honest, but the fact is we were killing time and we were just basically playing it to players on the wing. So yeah, I applaud every player on that pitch who came on as well as a sub. We've done a cracking job. One thing I will say though, which I have missed, EFL, come on now, you really need to sort out the reffing, because that Paul Smith foul, that should have been a penalty. It should have been a penalty. That needs to be looked into, because Paul Smith, you know, I've seen Adel Taarabt go down without even being touched, and I would accusate it as a dive, and he's been given penalties left, right and centre because he's such a great drama queen, is the only way to say it, you know, and that's why we loved him and what he got us them penalties, them extra goals. But the fact that Paul Smith did get fouled completely in the boxes and the referee hasn't given it, really, but the decision making is really bad and needs to be looked into, linesmen and referees. So it's really shocking for that. We should have had the penalty, and that needs to be looked at for every reason whatsoever. So yeah, I'm really embarrassed to actually say it, to be honest, with the EFL Championship. So yeah, let's have a look at the comments quickly, because I'm missing them as I'm seeing them come through. What do we say? Where were we? So The only way it seems that Coney and Burrell played together as a free. Did that. Ronnie and Cook was marking their man, not their fault. I would say if we're talking about the first goal that they scored, Coventry, I would say it's still one of them things where it's a stupid mistake where Jimmy Dunn as the captain, if you're not marking a player, you know you're doing something wrong. It's that simple. QPR says, would you say Ronnie has to start over Mbenge now? It's difficult to say because at the end of the day, I like both players, but I personally still think Ronnie and Mbenge might be good at centre-back and Jimmy Dunn back on the right. You know, but the thing is, we need Jimmy in the middle because we ain't got that much height. So that Ronnie on the right might be a big decision. So yeah, fingers crossed we see what happens. As long as he gets game time, maybe playing 3 at the back might be best with Jimmy, Ronnie and Cook. And maybe putting Davis somewhere else. I don't know. So yeah, it's a bit of a hard decision. You know, I like Mbenge, but you know, when you make a mistake, it costs. So you know, him being on the bench, it's gonna make sense. So yeah. AB says, was his best game so far for us in that 10. He looks so good, was more effective when he's out wide. If we're about Harvey Vale, yeah, listen, look, the reason why we signed him is the fact is this, you know, he's a young talent. He's one of them midfielders that can play anywhere, left back, left mid, left wing, anywhere behind the striker. He can play in midfield. Defensive ability is really good on the right. You know, he can play anywhere really. And that's why I like him. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's killing it at the moment. He's going to probably keep Chair out, you know, Chair will probably be on the left, to be honest. But whatever happens, it's going to be a good time to see him play. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. Hopefully he keeps going and goes from there. I don't know if it was his best game, but he pulled off a great performance. Yeah. And Coney really impressed with his efforts yesterday. Bullied defense. I would say he held up the ball pretty well. He did, baby. He did hold up the ball pretty well. Really good with that. Wham says, even DB, a bit late. Sorry, we have gone past the bit where we say what a great result. Well, welcome, Ram. Don't need to apologize, like I keep saying. But welcome in. Hopefully, you're having a good weekend. Hopefully, it ends with a bit of a good match reaction from us, to be honest. So yeah. But we'll go into the ratings now. So Walsh would finish with a 6.8, Davis 7.6, Cook 7.6, Dunn 7.2, Edwards 7.6, Madsen man of the match performance 8.7 with an assist and a goal, Hayden 7.3, Dembele 6.2, Vale 7.5, Smith 6.7, Kone 7.5. So yeah, very good ratings. Usually the wingers don't really get the best ratings unless they've scored, but good defensive ratings. I like to see that. I'm surprised Jimmy Dunn with a 7.2, which is a bit weird. But yeah, absolutely smashed it. We did well, and we go again. Obviously coming on from. Wait, hang on. Who are we playing next? Charlton on Friday night at 8:00. Why are we playing at 8:01? Why ain't it 8 o'clock? Yeah, so we're pretty much back with that. You know, on here, I'm just gonna answer Wham's question now. Do you know when Chair is due back? So I don't know when Chair is due back. All I can say is what they've said on the website. Ilias, it says here, for what I'm saying, Ilias Chair mid-February return. Jake Clarkson mid-February. Jonathan Varane late February. Karim Dembele late March now. Apparently that might be serious knee injury. Poku mid-February, Roman Braille mid-February, Ziad Lakesh late April. So yeah, I'm according to what I've heard is Ilias Chair and someone else could be back in training, as you said, this week. But coming back into training doesn't always mean playing as well. Just because they're going to be back in the team, is in the training team. You know, you got to remember there's other players that, you know, we've got Sato, Daniel, you know, Daniel Benny will probably be dropped if Chair's back. So yeah. Nick says, would be excited to see Poku, Kone and Burrell as a front three, but don't know how it would with the midfield unless we play 3 at the back. Like I said, I think 3 at the back might suit it well. I'm not too sure, but I think 3 at the back might do well, to be honest. But we got Charlton on Friday night. We do live on Sky Sports. Now, if anyone knows what I'm about to say, you know, Sky Sports is a bit of a jinx. So realistically, we could lose that at the Valley. Be a difficult game. We'll do the match preview for that this week. We will. Gonna do some investigation on how Charlton play. I will, and honestly, Charlton is gonna be a difficult game. I would say, you know, they're in form, so we'll see what happens. I reckon back for Blackburn. AB says okay. But we'll see what happens on what happens this week on any news. Right now, my main focus is tomorrow, deadline day. Is Kieran Morgan going to go out on loan? Are we going to bring in players? So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a weird one, and we want to focus on that tomorrow. We might have a live stream tomorrow for transfer deadline if we make any signings. So yeah. Sato made an instant impact. I'd play him over Smith on Friday. I would say Smith needs a rest. I think people really don't understand how talented Smith is and how valuable asset he is to the team, because his pace, his attitude, his heart, and his long throws all do the trick for us. So yeah. Wham says, are you keeping the home shirt on the back of the chair next game? It brought us some... I'm not going to lie, as soon as I actually brought it out on the chair, we actually scored some goals. So yeah, maybe we do, maybe we will. We'll see what happens. You might have to remind me in chat when we do it. We should win realistically. We're going against 2 QPR strikers. They'll probably both score. You never know what will happen, to be honest. You never know. It's Charlton. So yeah, I hope Kelman is happy with his wages sitting on the bench. Listen, look, at the end of the day, the guy wants playing time. Charlton offered him playing time, but if you're out of form, what can you do, you know? At the end of the day, a lot of the time, Kelman needs to play a certain way. So, yeah. But, yeah, going on from there, Kieran Morgan has obviously been in the talks, in the news today about a loan. Many league clubs want him on loan, League One. So that might be a very good move for him. I really think he should go out on loan. You know, he had a great season with us last season with Marty. But unfortunately, this season, you know, he has scored 2 cracking goals. But unfortunately, his performances have not been great. And I feel like he just needs playing time, you know, at this rate. He's very young. And he's a very exciting player. And being on the bench sometimes cannot be best for him. I feel like he needs to get the first team football. I think, in my opinion, he should go to Luton with Jack Wilshere. I think Jack Wilshere as a midfielder can teach him a lot of stuff with the passing game and the box-to-box midfielder. Great role model for him. I think it'll be a good decision for him to go there. If it does happen, fingers crossed, but hint, hint, Jack Wilshere, go do it. I beg you, because Kieran Morgan needs some experience. So, yeah, I think it'll be a great decision for Luton to do that. Any other news that I can think of? I don't think so right now. Only Kelman, really, that is the only one interested. Are we one of the clubs interested in the Burton striker? We're not one of the clubs because we've got too many strikers at the club. You know, we've just got rid of Michi Frey. We did. We got a lot of stuff to sort out with injuries first. But realistically, I think right now we just need... I'll be honest, if we bring in anyone, it's just going to be a loanee. I think we're not going to be... I think it's going to be a quiet day tomorrow. And if we do bring in anyone, it's either going to be youth player or anything like that. I would say, if you remember wisely last season in January, we were only bringing in... We brought in Harvey Vale, which didn't get signed until January, until the end last day. But realistically, we would have heard something, I would say personally, by now, if anyone was getting signed. But lately QPR have been very, very quiet with the signings in the sense of they're surprising. So yeah, I would say wait to see what happens tomorrow, but with injury wise, we'll see if anything happens. So yeah, going forward, a 2-1 way win, getting my prediction right for Coventry. I feel so lucky. Like your shirt, DB. Nick, I think, did I say 2? I think I said 2-1 as well, didn't I? I just realised I should have betted on that. Damn. I think I agreed with you on the match preview I did. That's mad. AB says, if Dembele's injury is serious, we have to get a loan in tomorrow. If it's serious, and if we don't, then it's an indication that we're probably going to have someone back real soon from injury. So, yeah. But right now, I think the only person that I would say to Christian Uri to sign is that Barton guy from Cambridge. So yeah, We're covered now, especially with Ronnie, that forward from Coventry and Escudina back. Yeah, I would say realistically, we don't need anyone in defence. I would say we're fine. I would say Kieran Morgan going out on loan, it's kind of hints to me that now obviously Ronnie's come in and he can cover in midfield as well. It could be that as well, but I would also say it's kind of mad because I honestly believe that we do, if Samfield does leave, but if we do send Kieran Morgan, it tells me Samfield is not leaving, you know? I think Samfield will be going at the end of the season. I think he would rather just wait till the end of the season. He's on the bench, he plays, so it doesn't really show me. The only person I could probably say to you right now that's probably leaving is if Nardi isn't injured, he's going. And then that's it, really. So, yeah. Wham says, love this channel on QPR Community DB. Thank you for streaming. Listen, look. Like I'm gonna keep saying it, you know. I did this. Well, this was technically a gaming channel, which obviously we're gonna have a gaming channel in the future eventually. But this all kicked off this season. It did. It really kicked off this season. I didn't expect it to be like this, to be honest. I'm not. Listen, look. I like football. I love football. I'm a football fan, and I could talk bollocks about football. And it's technically like therapy, just talk to you a lot about football. If, you know, some people have different ideas and stuff like that. If it kicks off, it kicks off. But like I said, to me, I'm diehard QPR fan. We're doing QPR stuff at the moment. But to get the channel to grow, you do need to kind of launch out to other things. And if it does mean talking about what I want to talk about in football aspects on this channel, that's what it's going to go to, you know. I will promise you one thing, you will not probably see any other Football League, Premier League, whatever watch along on here apart from QPR, possibly England, possibly the odd sport of maybe a different sport like boxing or whatever. I don't know. Listen, I'm not hinting at it. It's just something you might see in the future. But right now, QPR watch-alongs is all you're going to see on live streams. So I can guarantee that. But we also QPR news and stuff, hopefully. I really hope to have a podcast soon on here if I can make time. Which I have been thinking to do this. I might bring one of you guys each week, maybe once a week, into a chat with me, just having a little conversation about QPR, have your opinion, what we're saying, and go from there. If you're interested, when we start doing it, I'll probably throw out the thing there. I probably start creating some more stuff for that. So yeah. Nick says, be nice if we had Varane and Poku back for numbers to cover. Yeah, I agree. I think Varane is right now important player, but I honestly believe, I reckon we got cover for it, you know. We got cover. I'm not scared. I'm not gonna sit here and say, you know, we need him. I feel like right now Hayden is doing an excellent job. You know, he has been out of form in some games, but we have cover, you know. I'm not sitting here and worried about that, to be honest. You know, the only thing that I shit myself with is the number 8. The number 8 scenario needs to be resolved, and it needs to be resolved quickly, and that's it. So, yeah. Wham says, I like Field. I'll be a bit gutted if he goes. Listen, Field, I have huge respect for Field, because Field, to me, has dedicated his life, well, pretty much half of his life to QPR. You know, I respect that completely. You know, he's a great player. You know, he was a great youngster coming up. He looked brilliant. But unfortunately, sometimes when a new manager comes in, sometimes it will change. You know, Julian Fuentes likes to mix young with experience. Julian is more of a player that likes young talent, young players. It's that simple. So yeah. Wham says it'd be good if you do an England watch along for QPR. Okay, well, for the World Cup. Oh, okay. I don't know if listen. Look, I'll be honest. My thoughts on England right now are not the best. I would be honest with you. I've got nothing against the manager, in the sense of in what everyone's saying is German or that. It happens. You know, I just think his playing style does not suit England whatsoever. It's different, and I just don't think his playing style suits England. It's that simple. And that's why I don't do the England watch-alongs or whatever, because I don't like watching England. It's that simple. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Nick says, agree DB with the number 8 and the need for a right back, but can wait until next season. The right back scenario can wait for sure now. You know, I feel like I'll put it out there right now. I feel honestly that we need to put Putman or Adamson a chance in the team for right back. We do. Adamson or Putman needs to have an opportunity. It's that simple. But the number 8, you know, we could try Isaac, who looks really talented. I would listen. My thoughts on Isaac right now is I think he should be playing. He should be on the bench only because we've bought him from a European side. We got him from a European side team. We got him from a side that has played European football in the sense of the conference European League or whatever you want to call it. He should be getting game time. He has experience. He scored against Chelsea, for crying out loud. I'm not saying that to dedicate it like, oh, he must be brilliant. I'm just saying the fact that he's got first team experience in that type of game style of play. You know, real competitive football. You know, so yeah, I honestly think he should give it a chance. But if he's not, then maybe look at someone. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. But I'll be honest. I would say this, expect a quiet day tomorrow. Expect a very quiet day tomorrow. Kieran Morgan, Nardi, the only ones that I would say we'll probably see get gone. But we'll go from there. But apart from that, QPR, we're going to end it on here. QPR beat Coventry 2-1. We sit, I believe we sit, where do we sit actually? We're sitting 11th. Goal difference from the top 10. Brilliant game yesterday. I'm happy with the result. Hopefully Charlton can be another great U-turn for our form, and we can go from there. Last ones. Nick says agree with Adamson, but JS playing with a 3 at the back. Do we need one sign-in? Well, we'll see tomorrow what happens. At the end of the day, it would be nice to have a sign-in, but realistically, I don't see it happening. You know, I see Nardi and Kieran Morgan the only ones going, and that's it. So yeah. But yeah, apart from that, we're gonna leave it there. Great game yesterday. You guys doing a great job for tuning in, and much love, much appreciated. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to. Peace, love, positivity, and we'll catch you maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens on the live on the deadline day. Hopefully you have a great evening, enjoy your weekend, and enjoy work. Back to work on Monday. So yeah, but apart from that, catch you in a bit.